Hey guys, so I am really excited to move into the next section of this course, which is domains and hosting. These are the main building blocks of a good WordPress website. Now, in this section, we are going to learn about what is domain, what is hosting, who is a domain registrar, how to buy a domain, and how to buy a hosting. So, let's start the very first lecture of this section. In this lecture, we are going to learn what is domain. So first you can read the information written on your screen. Domain name is just an IP address written in human understandable form. The domain name functions as a link to the IP address. So treat domain name like a phone directory where you write names instead of phone numbers, where you find people's phone number using their names. That is how domain name works. So in this lecture we are going to see what is a domain. First of all, I am going to show you a really popular website which is hostinger.com. So here you can see the domain checker. We are going to use the domain checker. So what is a domain? Here hostinger.com is a domain because hostinger.com be will be mapped to the address. So how does domain name works? So here hostinger is a domain because hostinger.com points to an IP address where the server is running and sending us this web page, HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So yeah, that's how the domain works. They are just IP address written in English. Let's say instead of hostinger.com, we'll write http 192.35.68.54 http 38.96.87 65.87.99. So this is actually an IP address, but why we chose domain names over IP address is because human brain can't remember all the numbers because there are millions of billions of websites running on the internet, and you can't remember google.com by 130 point and 65 point something. Similarly, you can remember all the websites like Facebook, Quora. There are many popular social networks. You can't even remember up to 10 IP addresses. That is why we use domain system, because domains are easy to remember as they are written in human understandable form. So that is all the definition of domain. That is just how the domain name works. There is nothing special about them. This is very basic definition, and I hope you understood that how the domain names works and why are they so used instead of IP address. Now here you can see .com, .online, .xyz. So what are these? These are the extensions. These are the domain extensions. So whenever we write udemy.com, so this is basically the domain name and this is the extension, and with the domain name dot extension name, it contributes to domain. So domain name plus domain extension equals to domain, and this is what address you need to type in your search bar to access the website. So now So that's it for this lecture, and I will meet you in the next one. Hey guys, so in this lecture we are going to see who is a domain registrar. So remember hostinga.com, we we go to hostinga.com, and here navigate to domain and domain checker. Now you need to understand one very basic thing. So whenever we type a domain, this is on the global level, means there will be no another domain name with the hostinga.com name, and domain names are unique. You cannot have two domain names with the similar web addresses. That is why we need you that is why we need domain registrars, because they are the special authority which offers us to buy and sell our domain, and they keep track of all the domains available on the internet. Hostinger.com is an example of domain registrar. Now, Hostinger.com alone is not the seller of these domains. There are other websites like namecheap.com and bluehost.com. There are many website sellers. There is godaddy.com. So domain registrars are just the special authority which can buy and sell the domains to the consumer. And whenever you buy a domain from here, so domain name lord.com, let us search this, and this will check it on the global level. It means this domain is taken by some this domain it means this domain is already taken, because it checks on all the servers in the world, and domain registrar checks all the domains available by this name. So as it says this is already taken, you can take this domain, and whenever you click on add to cart, domain online plus web hosting, this is around 0.99 per month. So domain name, so whenever you buy a domain name, a global identity is created on the internet. In this lecture we are quickly going to learn what is a hosting. So hosting is nothing but just a computer which is connected to internet and electricity 24/7. So the basic difference between hosting and your personal computer is that hosting is connected to the internet 24 and 7. So there is no electricity loss, internet connection loss, and it is important that it should be available 24/7, because your website can't go down, and if your website goes down you will be facing shut losses, like in sales, in your personal blog. If you have, your audience will face issues. So it is not good to run a website on your personal computer, because it can't be connected to the internet always, and also it can't have electricity. In case of natural disaster or some local issues, you can't be able to shift it easily to any other state or any neighborhood or any other city. But in this case, suppose if one hosting or one server goes down, that hosting provider will have several other hosting servers which will take your website online, which will keep your website online. They have they have servers all over the world, so it is necessary you buy a good hosting, and it also provides better speed. It is optimized for these kind of resources, and this is all about hosting. There is nothing much which you should or you want to know, or that I know. this is the most simple definition of hosting. So that's all for the hosting, and some more points I want to add here is that whenever you go to the website, and so this address is where the host is located. So whenever we type this address, we are knocking on the door of the host and we say that we want some files. So host says, okay, welcome to my home and I will provide you the files. So in return, the host provide us all this content, HTML content. You all should know that the web page is created using HTML, CSS and JavaScript, and these HTML, CSS and JavaScript files are stored on the hosting itself. So whenever we type the web address, the hosting responds with this kind of resources, and this is all the work it has to do. Whenever we type a URL, it provides us with the necessary resources. This is the main purpose of hosting, and this is all you need to know about it. There is nothing much, like there is nothing much rocket science or something. This is the most simple definition for hosting. So I will see you in the next lecture, and let's continue this. Hey guys, so welcome back to the lecture, and in this lecture we are going to learn how to actually buy a domain. So I am using this hostinga.com registrar because it is also really simple to use and it has a nice UI. So whenever we buy a domain, we need to make sure that it doesn't contain any company name, because in future they can put a lawsuit on you and you might get in trouble. So try to be unique and don't use any other brand's name in your domain, which is against the law. And now whenever you find a good domain name, let's say jenny.com, jennycannings.com or sam.com, because this is your domain name and you can name it whatever you want. Now when you click on search, this will search it on the global level. So this is the domain name. Here you can add it to your cart and this will check its availability. Now as you can see, this is available and we can continue to our cart. I am going to show you how to use Hostinga. Every website on the internet works the same way. You need to search for a domain name, you need to select the domain and extension you want, then you can easily check it out from here. Here you can select the period, 1 year, 2 year or 3 year. So yeah, that's easy. So yeah, that's how we purchase a domain. You can check it out now, and at the end you need to enter some information about you and yourself. So yeah, here when we click on checkout, you need to create an account and then complete the purchase. So that is how easy it is to buy a domain name. So yeah, that's it for the lecture, and in next lecture we are going to learn how to buy a hosting. So in this lecture we are going to see how to buy a hosting. There are many hosting providers, but I prefer hostinga.com because this is really beginner friendly and is also best performing. Now whenever you buy a domain, so whenever you are buying, because this is a really good website and they are really good hosting provider, so this can show you up to 25,000 visits monthly and up to 1 lakh 100k visitors monthly. Now whenever we see this hosting, now according to your plan you can start with this. According to your plan you can buy this hosting or this hosting. So when whichever you prefer, you can always buy these hostings. Here you just need to select your preferred plan, and then it will add this to your cart. Now we are when I showed you as I showed you in previous video, you will need an account. You just need to enter your email, select your hosting, select payment method, and this will give you a free SSL also. So single shared hosting 479 months plan. So this is actually a really good deal. For only $50 you will get a hosting for 48 months, and they are giving us huge discount of $432. So this is the best deal you can get currently. Yeah, so that's it for the hosting. You can add payment method and buy it.